This week marks 34 years since Hurricane Bob, the last hurricane to hit New England.
Meteorologist Christian Bridges joins us right now to break down its impact. And it's been a while. I mean, 34 years, but a lot of people remember that.
Yes, definitely memorable.
I don't remember it, but I was living in Florida at the time of Hurricane Bob, so I've heard many, many stories about the impacts.
Yes, definitely brought a big impact. The last storm to hit Maine at near hurricane intensity, and the last hurricane to hit New England. It's kind of amazing that the 1990s, the rest of the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, no hurricane has hit the region. So we're kind of overdue for one. So that's why Bob is like a great lesson in, okay, what would happen if a hurricane was to hit New England, since it is the most recent one. So here's a look at its satellite image. This was the morning it was about to make landfall on Rhode Island. You can see the eye of the storm there as it was moving off the coast of New Jersey. And here's some statistics for you on Hurricane Bob. It made its first landfall on Newport, Rhode Island on August 19th. So the anniversary technically was yesterday as a Category 2 with winds of 100 miles per hour. Its second landfall came later that day on Rockland here in Maine, just under hurricane intensity of the tropical storm with winds of 70 miles per hour. And again, this is the most recent hurricane to strike New England. Very overdue here in New England for a hurricane to make landfall on the region in general. Also very overdue for a major hurricane, Category 3 or higher, to hit the region. It has been many decades, since the early 1950s, since we've seen a major hurricane. So yeah, this keeps meteorologists in the region up at night, the threat of a potential hurricane. It's just they are very rare here. We've kind of gone a longer than normal time period without seeing one. So the risk is super high if one is to hit, because most people living here have not dealt with a hurricane in their lifetime. So again, Bob, a great example of what would happen if a hurricane was to hit the region. Here's some video from its landfall. This is from down in Rhode Island or along the Massachusetts coastline as well. And yeah, you can see the impacts very similar to what we would see during a big nor'easter here in Maine. And of course, the destruction was massive with this storm. It destroyed so many homes.
Wow.
Caused lots of flooding, storm surge, very strong winds as well. I'll have a graphic here showing the impacts in Maine coming up in just a second after we finish watching this video. But yeah, you can see the impacts it had, all the road washouts, the storm surge flooding there you can see down in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts. And here in Maine as well, we had big impacts across the state. In fact, for a while, Bob was the wettest, made August 1991 the wettest month on record in Portland, and it's still the #2 wettest month ever recorded in the Portland area. So here's a look at the track. You can see that Category 2 landfall in Rhode Island. It was moving extremely fast, so it got to Maine very quickly after that, making landfall later on August 19th as a high-end tropical storm and then moving over down East Maine. And because the Portland area was on the left side of the storm, the dirty side essentially, there was over 8 inches of rain. 7 inches of that fell in 24 hours on August 19th in 1991. So that made it the second wettest month ever. In fact, for about 5 years, it was the wettest month ever. And then October 1996, we had an incredibly wet month, and that broke that record. Wiscasset had a 92 mile per hour wind gust. Statewide impacts included 169,000 customers losing power. Portland area damages were over 25 million. There was 3 deaths in the state, and the Presumpscot River set a record flow that was only broken again in October of 1996. So yeah, very impactful. Goes to show what a hurricane can do for us here in New England. So we really don't want to see one heading our way. We're really happy Aaron is passing by offshore, you guys.
I remember I was working at a WMUR TV in Manchester when this hit. And we had reporters out at Hampton Beach, Rye Beach, all on the coast, and it was incredible, the damage. Maine got hard, New Hampshire did too, and I remember that. I didn't get a chance to cover it because I was a sportscaster back then, but seeing the images was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it really was unbelievable, and it just goes to show how vulnerable we are to a storm of this magnitude. They're rare, but they very much do happen here, so it's something that we always need to be prepared for every year.
Yeah, it's one of those storms where you kind of remember where you were,
Yes, if you were living here in Maine, if you were living anywhere in southern New England especially, you definitely remember Bob.
Is it rare to have, like, for us, to get early in the alphabet like that with a B?
It is unusual. That was something that was unusual with Bob. A lot of our hurricanes happened in September, October. Bob was definitely a little bit earlier in the calendar. Hurricane season usually only really just starting to ramp up. Not completely unheard of, but typically New England hurricanes are a bit later in the season, so it was kind of early when it came to Bob.
All right, he was strong.
That's for sure. And if you've got any weather-related questions that you'd like to ask our Weather Authority team, you can always email us at weather@wgme.com.